All right, so welcome to your first DAO, everyone. Happy to give this presentation for you. I'm Stratis from DAOstack, and this is a community onboarding presentation that will explain to you a couple of things about the application itself and the protocol and participating in the new DAO. And some of the things that we are going to cover are the basic functionalities of Alchemy, the reputation system, the rules of the protocol. I'm going to give you a live demonstration of the application itself and how to take the most basic actions there and how everything works. Then we're going to talk about participating in the DAO in regards to setting up communication protocols and working groups. And then we'll close by mentioning a few tips about managing the DAO. And these will be primarily lessons that we learned from our own experience with the Genesis DAO, which has about 160 reputation members, and it has been running for about a year now with managing real funds. So, but before we get into that, why should you care about this this application, this new DAO, and this new effort? And I think it's important to take a step back and really appreciate that the fact that Alchemy lets you participate in a DAO like never before, and you can get rewarded for your contributions that you make for the DAO, either with tokens or with extra voting power. The way that the protocol works is that your vote truly matters because your voting power and your influence is a reflection of your value as a member of the DAO, and this makes it a truly meritocratic organization. And it's important also to say that you can make decisions very easily at scale because of the way the protocol works. It prioritizes the most important proposal. So it's very easy to engage with the activities of the DAO without having to go through the entire proposal list. Now, so what is Alchemy? Alchemy is essentially a decentralized application that allows DAOs to make decisions based on members' proposals. You can use it to make financial decisions about your DAO or non-financial decisions. So we'll talk about both. And right now we are also moving forward with implementing additional features that we will discuss as well. Now, there are three primary actions that you can take inside Alchemy. The first one is that you can vote, and you can vote for or against the proposal. And this action requires you to have reputation. You can think of reputation as voting power. You can also propose something new to the DAO new project, and as a reward for delivering the work that is outlined in the proposal, you can get reputation, and also you can get funds from it. This is where the budgeting aspect comes into play. And you can also stake, which means that you can stake, you can make a stake of Gen for or against a non-boosted proposal that is still being voted on, indicating your prediction in a way that this proposal will fail or pass, introducing a prediction mechanism into the whole protocol that makes it easier to sort proposals based on the importance. The interesting thing here is that you can propose and stake regardless of whether you have reputation or not, but you can only vote if you have reputation. So let's talk about reputation, which is the cornerstone of the entire application and the way the system works. Now, reputation is essentially a non-transferable score that is attributed by the DAO to an Ethereum address during reputation generating events. And we will discuss specifically what these events are. Your reputation percentage, which means how many reputation points you have relative to how many have been minted in total, indicates your voting power inside the DAO. And as a concrete example, if the DAO has issued a total of 100 reputation points and 5 people have 20 each, this means that each person has a voting power of 20%. Now to the specific mechanics of how it works. If you want to gain reputation, there are 3 ways. So you will receive an automatic reputation reward by voting in alignment to a non-boosted proposal's outcome. For example, you voted yes and the proposal passed, or no and the proposal failed. You can also receive reputation via a proposal that passes, and the amount of reputation that you receive is defined in the proposal making stage, and we're going to cover this in the walkthrough. And third, you also receive an automatic reputation reward if your proposal passes, regardless of whether you asked for reputation of the proposal or not, as a sign of recognition that you made a valuable contribution. And there are also 2 ways that you can lose reputation. The first one is that you receive an automatic penalty of reputation by voting against a non-boosted proposal's outcome. If you vote yes and the proposal fails, or no and the proposal passes, then you lose a small amount of reputation. And of course, you can also be stripped of some or all your reputation via a proposal that passes, and this amount is defined in the proposal making stage. We will discuss in depth about this mechanism later on. Now, something interesting about reputation, the way it is designed, is that it inflates. So, and the reason why is because the DAO can mint reputation over time as more members join. So the result is each person's voting power in the DAO is reduced when more people become reputation holders inside the DAO. And if we want to take the example from before to explain how this dynamic works, so let's assume that we have an additional 5 people that joined the DAO and they each ask for 20 reputation. Then the DAO mints new reputation and gives it to these people, and then the new distribution is 10 people holding 20 reputation each for a total of 200 reputation. And then each person's then reputation percentage and voting power becomes 10% down from 20%. So you can expect that the more people there are, the less voting power each person has individually. Now let's talk about the rules of the protocol. And by rules of the protocol, what we mean essentially is 2 things. The first thing is what happens, what are the conditions under which a proposal passes or fails, and what are the conditions under which a proposal gets boosted, right? So when does a proposal pass? The first question. The proposals in the regular queue, they are open for a voting period of 45 days, and they will pass or fail immediately if 51% or more of the DAO's reputation votes for or against them. This is the absolute majority vote. And boosted proposals are open for voting for 3 days, and they will always pass or fail after the full 3 days are up, depending on whether pass or fail has more reputation voting for them. And this is the relative majority aspect. And next one is we're going to talk about what does boosted proposals mean, and how does a proposal get boosted. So proposals that are regular proposals, as we call them, are essentially, you can think of proposals that are just recently posted in a way. That have a positive for to against ratio of gens staked above a certain threshold. these are considered higher priority by the DAO, and they are moved to the pending queue for a time period of 1 day. And during this pending time, if this proposal maintains its 4 to against ratio for the duration of the day, then it will be allowed to be boosted to the top, the boosted queue to the top of the page, right? And also, if the ratio drops below the threshold due to stakes against it, it will immediately move back to the regular queue and the entire process repeats. Now, having covered the basics, let's move on to how to use Alchemy. Now, the #1 tool you need to use Alchemy right now is Metamask. If you're not familiar, Metamask is a browser extension that lets you browse and take actions within apps like Alchemy. It also lets you set up an Ethereum address if you don't already have one. It's where you can store your ETH and your gen, and is where your reputation is attributed. So it's important to have complete ownership of your Ethereum address and never lose it. I have included a couple of guides here on how to install Metamask and also how to connect it with your hardware wallet. I'm not going to go into depth about that, but you can check out the links in the presentation. And the important aspect of using a Metamask and taking actions within Alchemy is gas fees. Gas is what powers the Ethereum network on top of which Alchemy runs. And for every action that you take inside Alchemy that requires you to use Metamask, you will need to pay a small amount of Ethereum tokens, and this is called a gas fee. These gas fees are typically something between 5 to 20 cents, US dollar cents. So it's important to make sure that you have some ETH in your wallet so you can make transactions there. Now, I want you to follow me along on a trip inside the application itself. Now, the URL for the application is alchemy.daostack.io. As soon as you join here, you will see a list of all DAOs that are currently using Alchemy. For example, here you can see the Genesis Alpha DAO, which we're going to explore, and some other DAOs as well. And I am guessing that this is where you will also see your DAO as soon as it's launched. Now, as you can see right from the get-go, the Genesis Alpha DAO has 170 reputation holders and 6 open proposals. If you click on it, you can see, first of all, I have already done it, but for you, if you log in for the first time, what will happen is that you will be prompted to sign a transaction to authorize the application to view your Ethereum address via MetaMask. And as soon as you do, this little thing here will load, which is essentially your profile. If you click here, what you can do is that you can edit some of the details about yourself, your name, a short bio, and you can add social verification via Twitter and GitHub, and some other information like how much voting power you have, how many Gen tokens does this wallet hold, how much Ethereum you have, and what's the address associated with it. Now, if you go back to home, you can see that first and foremost, you can see the list of all schemes. So a scheme is essentially a type of proposal with a specific functionality within the interface. We call these schemes. There are several types of schemes in a way, depending on what they do. The scheme registrar is the administrator of all these schemes. It's the scheme that registers the schemes, as the phrase implies. And the contribution reward is how you can imagine it as a daily activity of the DAO, which is to manage funds, right? And this is where you get rewarded for your contributions, pretty straightforward. And you can ask for reputation or for tokens. And in the scheme registrar, you can find other different functionalities or administrative functionalities that the DAO can make. For example, let's say that you want the DAO to purchase some tokens from a decentralized exchange. This is something that you can implement via the scheme registrar. I'm not going to go more into depth about it, but we will have additional materials about this very, very soon. This is something that was just launched as well. And the important thing for the community, first and foremost, is going to the contribution reward. One thing I forgot to mention is that in the scheme registrar, there are also options for you to choose to update the protocol. And this is something that I think it's important to do as the protocol gets upgraded. Again, we will publish content around it and how-tos, so you don't have to worry about it. Now, going down the rabbit hole here, the contribution reward, as we said, consists of 3 queues. This is the boosted proposal queue, the pending proposal queue, and the regular proposal queue. So as soon as you make a proposal, this proposal shows up here in the regular proposals queue. And then if there is a positive stake for to against, like this one, then it goes up to the pending queue. And if this maintains its ratio, then it moves up to the boosted queue. Now, the way this works in practice is very simple. Let's say that I want to make a new proposal. Then I would go right here to the top right, where it says new proposal. I can name it however I like test proposal for Phoenix DAO presentation. Please ignore. I can enter a URL. Usually this is something like a Google document where you can explain more about your proposal. The recipient here, I can choose to put any address. Right now I'm going to choose to put my own address. I'm going to copy and paste it from here. Right, so this is my address. I'm not going to ask for any reward because I know that it's going to get rejected anyway. I can ask for reputation as well. Let's say for the sake of argument that I'm going to ask for 10 reputation tokens. There are, of course, there's the possibility to ask for other tokens other than ETH. This is the list of the tokens that are currently supported. And you can ask also for the DAO tokens, which are tokens that are issued by the DAO. This is currently simply a placeholder token, but you can choose to issue your own tokens and have a potential fundraise if you wish by issuing these tokens and then distributing them. So as soon as I click here to submit my proposal, you can see here that the Metamask notification opens up. I connect it to Alchemy, and then as soon as I do, oh, it refreshed because I hadn't logged in before, but that's no problem. I can just redo this. As soon as I click submit here, then what should happen is that MetaMask notification will pop up for me to sign the transaction. You can see the gas fee. It says 69 cents. This is not true. Typically, usually what happens is it costs about 5% of what it says here. But if you are feeling that you want to edit the gas fee costs, then you can click to advanced settings here, and you can mess with the gas price and the gas limit. The gas price will make it go faster. The gas limit will make sure it goes. So I am just going to increase the gas price a bit just to make sure that it will happen quite soon, so you can see the proposal actually be posted. Now, you can see the message here that we're waiting this for it to be processed. This means that we're waiting for the transaction to be approved by the Ethereum blockchain right now. And when it does, the proposal will be posted here. Now, let's say that I want to vote on a proposal. As I said before, I need to have reputation in order to vote on a proposal in this DAO here. And you can see if I go here to my profile, actually it pops up right here. You can see that I have a 1.26% reputation, which means I can vote. And every time I vote, the turnout changes by 1.26%. You can see the proposal was processed successfully. Now, when I go here back to the contribution reward scheme, we should be able to see the proposal that I just created, which is this one. It's a test proposal. It asks for 10 reputation points. And you can see the controller here, essentially, which allows me to vote for it or against it and make stakes. You can also see the timer. For the Genesis DAO, the timer is 30 days. For the Phoenix DAO, this will be 45 days, as I said, according to the specification. Now, if I click on this proposal, oops, sorry, my bad. If I click on this proposal, this is the specific proposal, the specific proposals page. I can see all the different numbers as I could also do before, of course. But the important thing here is that it has a discuss plugin integration, and you're allowed to make comments if you wish. Like this, it works as it does in every other instance of the plugin. And then let's say that I think that this proposal serves no purpose and I want to vote against it. The against vote, it shows the state after your vote. As I told you, it's going to be 1.26% against if I vote against it, of course. And as soon as I click the vote button, the Metamask window pops up again, and it's the same process as before. You just need to confirm the transaction and the vote will go through as soon as it's processed by the blockchain. And similarly, let's move actually to a better example for staking. So let's say that I am looking into this proposal here by Eric. I really don't think that this proposal is very good, and I don't think that it will pass. And I am willing to stake Gen to back my prediction there. As you can see, this proposal is right now in the pending proposals queue, which means that the condition for it to be boosted is satisfied currently, but there is this time period which needs to pass before it can be boosted. However, as I said, hypothetically speaking, I disagree with Eric's proposal. I don't think it will pass, and then I can stake against it. Now, it says here on the UI that if I stake 0.46 Gen, then this proposal will unboost, which means that it will go back to the regular proposals queue. Now, for the sake of the example, let's do it. I'm going to stake just 5 Gen against it. And by doing this, what happens is, again, the MetaMask notification window pops up. I can confirm the transaction as before. And again, we're waiting for this to be processed. Now, in the meantime, what happened is that my vote against transaction was processed in my test proposal. And as you can see here in the turnout, Now it shows that there is a 1.26% negative reputation voted against it. Now, while we wait for the stake to go through, let's look at the other menu items here in the UI. So the first one is the list of reputation holders. This is pretty straightforward. Name if they have opted in to show it, Ethereum address, and then how much reputation everybody here holds. The history of proposals, it's also pretty straightforward. You can see which proposals passed, which were made, which failed, whether you had some associated actions with it, like I voted for it. Of course, it was my own proposal with this amount of rep, which is the amount of rep I had at the time, etc. And there is also the redemptions page, which is the pending rewards that are due to the fact that you either had good predictions or good votes. By good, I mean correct. Or you made, there was a proposal that you were the beneficiary of. Of course, here to the left again, you can see the DAO holdings. The Genesis Alpha DAO currently holds 45 ETH and 2.6K Gen. Something that I didn't mention is that, as you can see here, for every proposal that is made here, you can see this 150 Gen towards fail. This is what we call the DAO stake. The DAO stake is an automatic stake that the DAO makes. And the reason for this stake is to incentivize predictors, because now this means that predictors that are interested in staking for this proposal are incentivized to do so, because there is a potential reward of 150 Gen. So it's essentially kickstarting the prediction mechanism here. I'm not sure exactly if and when my transaction will be processed, but in the meantime, let's move back to the slides and